for years, and to date he has not found closure as to why the person he loved most did the most horrendous thing to him, turning his life into total darkness, literally. Dan, now a member of the Kenya Society of the Blind, narrates the ordeal that befell his life after his wife poured sulfuric acid on his face while he was asleep after a misunderstanding. Our very own Cecilia Lubanga features his story on this week's episode of Born a Man.
Sometimes in society, whenever we talk about domestic violence, we normally portray women as the main victims and a majority of men as perpetrators of these incidences. In September 2016, the Kenya Society for the Blind received a new member. Dan Matakoya was not born blind. He suffered tragic incidences of a failed marriage.
The beauty of our surrounding is good enough for those who care to appreciate the wonders of nature. But for 35-year-old Dan Matakaya, it's a life full of darkness. He once could tell day from night, but now only appreciates the feeling of wind brushing against his healing scars and the warmth of the sun on a cold day. A police officer by profession, stationed at Industrial Area Police Station, he now plays a different role of counseling fellow police officers. Having lost his sight, he went back to school to study counseling psychology with the goal of remaining relevant to the only profession he has known. He vividly recalls the incidences that led to the horrendous turnout of events in his home.
In May 2013, we lost our kid. He was 9 months old. He had been diagnosed with severe pneumonia and meningitis. And 2 weeks after the burial, my ex-wife told me that she had been advised that we needed to have another kid. As a young couple, people were trying to intrude into our personal family matters and trying to influence the decisions that we are making. So we sat down and I told her it might be a good idea, but let's give it a wait so that someone somewhere may not feel that he or she is influencing all the decisions that we are making as a couple. She went to Nakuru to run now the family business. Then that time I was in Kisii. But initially she was working in Mwea. So to me, I felt it was a sigh of relief because traveling from Kisii to Nakuru was nearer as compared to from traveling from Kisii to Mwea. We moved on with our life, and she used to visit every weekend. We used to meet each and every weekend. Sometimes he comes to Kisii, and then alternatively I travel to Nakuru. So this time round she came and he stayed for 2 weeks. But a few days before the incident, she told me that she wanted to carry the kids' belongings with her to Nakuru. To me, I was so adamant and I refused because I felt that maybe my colleagues, since I was staying in the police line, the perception, what my colleagues will say when they see her carrying all those belongings with her. I knew that she was still fighting or struggling with the loss. So I never wanted her to go, and when she looked at those items, emulated hizo flashbacks. So we had a quarrel over the same issue. But her character was a bit different. Whenever we had any conflicts or whenever we were quarreling, she used to keep quiet. So on 21st September, that was the day she was supposed to travel home. So when I came from work, as I was sleeping, she woke up and poured sulfuric acid on my face.
The journey to healing exclusively relies on the willingness of a healing heart. Although he has attempted to commit suicide a number of times and he has not found closure to date, Dan believes his story placed him strategically in life in order to save others from ending up in the same pit.
When I came to this society, I came here for rehabilitation. You know, losing sight, now life had changed. I never knew one day I'll stand strong, maybe go back to school. So when the doctor told me that Dan you won't see again. To me, I felt that my life had come to an end. But through counseling and then coming to this society for rehabilitation, played a bigger role towards me accepting the current situation that I am in.
This walking stick is what goes before him every day of his life. He is also now attached to someone who has to constantly be by his side for him to fully operate. Today, Dan contemplates about the incident, wishing there was a better way to go about the issue they had with his partner.
Maybe if kama alikuwa na shida na tukae chini tuongee, ainge lead to where it led us to. Ainge lead to this loss, you know. So I feel that maybe if she could have opened up and shared what is exactly maybe affecting her, we could have sat down and discussed and maybe find a solution to some of those issues. Men need help. Instead of stigmatizing against this gender, they need to offer support. As men, we face a lot of things, but due to the circumstances whereby there is a lot of expectations from men don't want to come out and share. If you go to the hospital, you find that some of the men comes for treatment, maybe wamechapwa, but they don't want to reveal ama kusema kwamba alichapwa na bibi yake.
A lot has changed from living as an independent person to now being dependent on individuals of goodwill. Even as we release this story, he wishes he could be able to see himself and appreciate the impact of the much he does for other people, but he can only hear and smile, trusting that we did justice in the shooting. Cecilia Lubanga, Look Up TV.
Lubanga for that story.